Welcome to the Geek Easy, fellow geeks. Let's open a beverage of your choice, because today is a special episode of Frightful Fridays, which is basically 11 o'clock on Tuesday night. So it'll be Wednesday, okay, for Wednesday, even so. Where I'm going to be reviewing the first two episodes of a new limited series on Shudder called Hell Motel. So if you have just Shudder in and of itself, or you have AMC Plus, you can get it on there. And let me give you the rundown of this show. It is 10 true crime obsessives are invited to the opening of the newly renovated Cold River Hotel, which is the site of a satanic mass murder 30 years before. And history starts repeating itself when the guests start getting bumped off one by one. This is done by the same people who did so-called Slasher, which I never saw, so I can't speak on that. But I can on this. So aside from the basic premise of this, you have that hotel, and it starts in 1995. This newly-wed couple are on their way to celebrate their honeymoon. They're trying to get to wherever it is, but the weather is just horrible. They're stuck out in kind of the boondocks. They don't know where they are, and they can't keep going. So they're like, all right, we're just going to stop here for the night. Stop and see if we can find some place. Stay here for the night, and go tomorrow and get to where we're going so we can do our honeymoon. And this little wound up in this little hotel, and they go inside. They're offered a room. There's clerks behind the counter like, no charge. You're on the honeymoon. They go in there, start getting ready, and they're murdered by some guy in kind of a goat head mask, goat head with horns. It looks sort of like the Ghostface setup, but with a goat head with horns mask instead of whatever. Jumps to modern day. You have a group of people being driven out down, seems like pretty much the same road, in a Cadillac hearse, where you have a group of people, and you slowly learn who they are. One of them is a woman by the name of Paige, who is an actress. She was in a series of movies, which I should have written this down, but I didn't. The first one was based on these murders, and then they had a whole series of other ones, sequels afterwards, which she plays the female victim, or the female, the woman who was the female victim of the original killing. There's more than one group of people, more than those two people that were killed. You eventually find out, but she plays her, and in all these movies, and she's like the survivor girl, and she is the actress who, Paige, is pretty much typecast as her and just does these moves. And she's like in her 30s now and kind of washed up. You have Crow, who is a psychic medium. You have Kuan-Yin, who is he's sort of this kind of avant-garde artist, does stuff, who has based his career on making stuff like this, bringing things like that to life. And he was hired to recreate the murder victims in this thing. You have Blade. I'm not Blade, but Blake, I'm sorry. Or as I like saying, Blake. Yeah. Because the substitute teacher would say Blake, who is a podcaster, writer, and Adriana, who is a flight attendant who's gone to all these different continents, and she sleeps exclusively with serial killers. Okay, those people maybe are being brought out by a couple called by the name of Ruby and Portia, a couple who bought the abandoned hotel, renovated it up really nice, and so they are with the intentions of opening it up to the public for people who are into this type of stuff, because there are a lot of people out there who are into true crimes and into slasher type stuff. Okay. So you have those 9 people, and then a celebrity chef who Portia and Ruby and Portia hired to create a meal for them. Yeah, because she wants to use these people to generate the buzz to get people to come. And so but then you have, there's this other couple who show up. The weather at this point has turned to shit, and roads are closed and it's all dark. So it's this man and a woman who are traveling in a mobile home, like a Winnebago, and they're stuck, and they are requesting to be able to stay there. So you have all these people in this hotel, and somebody is going around and starts to kill people. In the same outfit as what happened back in 95. And you find this part out here early, so this isn't going to be really kind of a spoiler. It is, like first issue spoiler, but it's, something that, it's in the first episode. The couple who show up in the Winnebago were the original couple who did the killings. But they aren't the ones who are committing the killings now. But none of the other people know this at this point. So what everyone's trying to do now is they're trying to figure out all the other people except for the owners don't care who did it, but the 7 influencers or whatever, they want to find out who really killed them if it wasn't because they don't think the people who were convicted of it did it. The 2 owners are, just wanting to make back their investment and do well, and then, the next 2 people, the Winnebago people, they're just going to leave the next morning until this happens. And now they all need to try and survive the night. So after the first killing, people start kind of, as you would imagine, a bunch of people who don't know each other, they start getting all suspicious and not trusting each other, and then they can't leave because like the nearest place is they're out in the wilderness like 14 miles to the next city or the next area of civilization because they're all in the woods. So they really can't leave. There's wolves and bears out there, so they just don't want to try and trek through the stuff. So they're stuck. And the Winnebago isn't available. So that's what it is. They're stuck in this place with someone who's going around committing some murders, and they're trying to survive and figure out who did it. So it's kind of a slasher movie, but in a 10 episode format. And if this is true to any type of slasher movie type, you're going to have a final girl. It's always a final girl. Every once in a while there might be, one other person who survives. Who might be a guy or maybe two girls. But it's always going to be a final girl. So if this works the way that, any of these movies will be, one of the women will survive. Because that's just the way it works. I have my idea of who it's going to be, but I'm not going to say because I don't want to influence anybody. But the way this thing is written is, it's got a great setup. You're, learning about the people as it goes. And so they've got, why each person's personality, why they're there, what type of person they are. So you've got some really funny dialogue. One of the lines in one of the episodes is, someone says, she fucks like she's never seen a dick. Which I thought was really funny. So you've got some, really twisted, funny dialogue. You've got, the tension of, what's going on. In the familiar setups that you have of any type of slasher movies. Yeah. And this one will have the time to go into people's histories and personalities and motivations more than it would be for an hour and a half movie. Because each one of these, the first one was like 15 minutes long, the other one was 45. So between these two episodes, if it had been a movie, it would have been over already. But we've got 8 more episodes left. So there's going to be a lot more time as to being able to set up people's motivations, what happens, because they've already gone back into Portia and Paige's history. You have Eric McCormack from Will and Grace was the celebrity chef. And he's the only big name, or name that I recognize in there. But, so far, it's like I said, it's written really well. That's why I was going into that. Just, the acting is good. It is, you obviously put some care into finding people that could act and deliver the dialogue well, and it looks really good. Now, as for the 2 kills, these aren't super top notch. with it being on a streaming service, you'd think they'd be able to go, do some really good stuff. But I don't know if it's an aesthetic choice not to go over the top or stuff like that, or just do some lower, quality kills, or maybe just take it with like an 80s aesthetic, which I think what they might be doing. Kind of a throwback to the 80s type thing. But either way, I mean, it all works together, and I am really loving this so far. And, I don't know whether anyone who's seen my stuff before thinks that I'm easy to please or not, but I like it. It's good. It's enjoyable. I really intend to watch the next episodes when they come out, because it was only a 2-episode drop, and obviously I can't watch any more of them because they haven't come out yet. But as of now, with the first 2 episodes, 4.5 out of 5. And it is a recommend. But anyway, let me know if you've seen it. Let me know what you thought of it. If you watched it, like, subscribe, possibly share, and most of all, enjoy your slasher TV show.